Welcome to the Get Out In It podcast, keeping our mental and physical well-being balanced by heading out into nature and doing stuff.
The activity isn't important. Walk, run, hike, bike, whatever it is, just find something you enjoy and get out in it. The point of this podcast is to show how ordinary people can achieve extraordinary levels of health and fitness.
Out here, we'll share informal, inclusive advice for anyone trying to improve their mental and physical well-being, based on our own experiences and professional knowledge from our special guests.
So let's lace up and get out in it. And here we are. Welcome to episode Mana.
Menemina.
I don't know what episode we're on.
And here we are. Welcome to episode 20. And what a week it has been. How are you, Maria Herring?
I'm very well, thanks, James Bale. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. It is incredibly muggy, incredibly close, and stiflingly hot where I am. So, other than that, and having spent the morning running around a soft play zone, chasing tiny little humans that can get through tunnels much quicker than I can, I'm all right. How are you?
Sounds like I'm all right. I definitely had a better morning than you.
Yeah, there were moments. Probably one of the muggiest, closest, most humid days of the year. It was indoor soft play all the way.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
No, the planning didn't work out quite with the temperature, but there you go. It was okay. How are you? What's going on?
I'm doing good. I had a very relaxed morning this morning because I had quite.
Hold. What have you done this week to get out in it?
Got out in it. Yeah. I was about to launch into that. Well, I'm back to normal, regularly scheduled training. So that's mostly been my get out in it. But today is Saturday. Last night, I did my first ever night race.
Yes, you did. And there was full social media coverage from that, wasn't there?
Yes, you did very well. Well done, social media manager.
Yeah. How did it go? I mean, look, I know that we discussed this slightly in the interview that's yet to come on this one, but I've got to say, I am incredibly proud, incredibly impressed with not only the ability, not only did you go and do it, but also the reason behind you going and do it. And that is because you wanted to put yourself out your comfort zone to prove that you could do it. So later in the year, when you are out your comfort zone again, you can think back and think, you know what, if I can do that, I can do this. So first of all, big get out in it. Well done.
Thanks very much. Yeah. I totally deserve it.
Take us through it.
Well, it's the most nervous I've ever been for any race ever. It's the shortest race I've ever done. It was 10Ks, which is the shortest distance I've ever run in a race. Because before that, the shortest distance was half marathon. But the thing that was plaguing my anxious brain was the fact that it was at night in the forest, 100% trail. So I knew it was going to be super fucking dark. And I'm not a fan of the dark. I sleep with a nightlight. That's how afraid of the dark I am. So this was wildly out of my comfort zone. And up until the gun went off and we started running, I was shitting my pants all the way up, all the way leading up to that race. So yeah, even though it was the shortest distance I've ever run and it was the slowest pace I've ever run in a shorter distance race, I think it was the proudest I've ever felt on completion because it did it. And I didn't freak out. I didn't turn around and come back. And I actually had a lot of fun. It was really, really good fun.
And from the information and stuff that you've sent me and given me, I think you found a very different environment out on that night trail run than the worst, most paranoid, most scared parts of your consciousness led you to believe. You had this concept of you being out in the darkness on your own, didn't you?
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, take us through it. What was the environment like on that trail?
Well, the reason why I thought I was going to be left on my own in the dark and gored to death by boars, because the forests where I live are renowned for wild boar. And I was convinced I was going to be, left out in the dark and then like hunted and hounded through the forests by angry boar. But it's because it was a 10K race, and 10K runners tend to be quite fast, and I'm not fast. So I was convinced I was going to be left at the back of the pack trying to scrabble up these hills, because basically it was a 6K climb up to the top of Mont 2, to the summit of Mont 2, and then a 4K descent back down to the village where it started in Saint-Romain. And yeah, so I was convinced I was going to get left at the back of the pack, that I would be out in the woods on my own, not be able to find any trails. But actually, it was extraordinarily well organized. There were marshals everywhere, and the marshals were hanging out in packs of minimum two, because, middle of the night, forest and all that jazz. And every time you came to, all of the marshals had loads of flashing lights and music and speakers and stuff with them. And then, like, at various random points through the night, if we had to come off a trailhead and then cross the road to go onto a new one, they'd close the roads and they'd set up, there was either a band or some kind of disco lighting or something like that. It was mental. It was like it was like old school rave night
Tell
out
me
in
what the
nature.
most surreal moment was, though, because this is what I'm trying to get to. I want to get to this surreal moment.
So there was a bit where I was taking over quite a lot of people on one of the climbs, because it's a trail that I know really well. And ever since my 10K a day, my hill running's got so much better. I've noticed that over the last few days. Anyway, so I was overtaking a bunch of people, and I was in the forest on my own. And I came out of the forest trail, and before it joins the next forest trail, you have to kind of run along the back of a field. And leading up to that field trail, there were some really beautiful colored lanterns kind of lighting the way. And I was like, oh, this is really nice. And then as I came out from the forest and hit that the trail on the field, there was a woman sitting there playing a fucking harp. And she
Which
was
is well
surrounded.
good.
It was so good. And she was surrounded by all of these colored lanterns. And it was really trippy. It was so cool. I had such flashbacks. Remember Greenfields at Glastonbury?
Yeah.
Massive flashbacks of that.
Have
It was
you
it was
at any
mad.
point today questioned whether she was real or
I could have hallucinated her. Yeah. I hadn't been running for long enough or far enough to get into hallucinations though. But no, she was definitely real. And it was so cool. And when we got to the top of at the summit of Mont 2, there was a big old brass band, loads of people up there, cheering people on. And I kind of got lost and distracted because I filmed a little bit as I was getting closer, because it was just so cool. And then I kind of got completely lost, and they were shouting at me, no, you have to go this way. And I was like, this way, and they were, no, that's the wrong way, go this way. So I kind of got turned around. Actually, the whole thing was very disorientating, because these are all trails I know, but the race wasn't the normal way which I normally do those trails. So it was really fucking with my brain hole a little bit. So anyway, but the descent was brutal.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was the last little bit was on a very very steep, super technical, very rocky and stony, very slippy descent. And I was walking so slowly, my Garmin wasn't even registering a pace.
Well,
And that
that's
was
all
the bit,
right.
actually, that was the bit that I was the most scared, because that was a part where the 10K runners and the 20K runners kind of converged to come back into the end at the village. And there was all of these, it must have been the 20Kers. Oh, fucking hell, they were just bombing down that last little bit. And there was I could hear all the scrabbling on the rocks behind me, because there was a lot of loose stones and pebbles and rocks and stuff. And then I'd see like these little stones come falling down along the road behind me on the trail in front of me. And I was like, holy fuck. and they'd be shouting at their gosh, or like on your left, and then they just come storming past, and it's like, I don't know how they're alive. I was like tippy toeing down this thing, like terrified for my life, and like all of these people, mental.
So the last time you were out late at night,
Mhm.
disorientated, covered
Mhm.
in glow sticks and reflective stuff, was that for a healthy trail race reason?
Absolutely was not. Absolutely wasn't. No, the last time I was out that late, um, in such surreal surroundings was back in my drug infested rave days.
There is I often think quite a significant crossover between
Yeah.
trail racing, ultra endurance racing, and those heady days
Yeah.
that we lived
It
back in
was
the day.
yeah, it was quite funny when at the end, because the village had set up like drink stands and food stands, and the local cafes and restaurants were opened with like things outside where they were cooking crepes and waffles and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really festival atmosphere. It was super cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, and you could see all of the people who'd done the run, even the 10Kers, because it was a pretty nippy. It was a nippy climb, and it was quite a brutal descent. So you could see all of the trailers, kind of wandering around with a kind of bemused expression on their face, a bit like, people who are just coming up on their on the pill
Yeah.
they dropped.
Or on their way home at 4 in the
Yeah,
morning.
yeah.
Yeah.
Quite funny, these kind of glazed expressions, like what the fuck, what the fuck has just happened? All kind of moving around slowly, and we were kind of accidentally bumping into each other, because there's loads of people. Like, it was packed in this village. It was amazing. So many people, not just runners, but people out just to kind of cheer us on and stuff like that. It was so cool.
That's really
But
cool. And will
yeah.
you be going back next year?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. It was really, really good fun. Yeah. So I faced a lot of fears last night. I looked a few demons straight into the eye and went, "You're not that scary." So that was quite cool.
There you go. If anybody
Yeah.
wants to check out and see that little journey, then the social media is the place to go, and the Instagram account. Go and check us out, and you can see what happened on that amazing night out.
And what about you? What did you do this week to get out in it?
Well, as has become unbearably repetitive, I'm still rehabbing my hip. I've upped my strength game somewhat. I'm going up through the reps. I'm increasing the weight, and I have actually done some fairly hefty runs. And by the time this podcast comes out, I'll have done an hour run on the Sunday,
Nice.
as yet unconfirmed because I haven't done it at the point of recording, but
Hmm.
that is what is prescribed to me. And I'm hoping to start really going up through the gears a little bit now. So yeah, I've been out running. I've been doing my weight work and savoring this incredibly clammy, humid heat that we seem to have at the moment. But there are thunderstorm warnings for this evening, so I think it's going to clear out finally.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because even last night it was 26 degrees. Even at like 10 o'clock at night last night. It's
Yeah, it
quite
was
quite
it
tough to
was
run in.
it was a difficult night's sleep last night again
Yeah.
here as well. So you know, onwards we go. Now we have got some very interesting guests this week, haven't we? Now,
So
tell us about it.
okay, so I have I have been binging this YouTube channel called This Messy Happy, and I straight up love Mary and Ben Bridges. They're such a wicked couple, and I love watching their content because they're so excited and enthusiastic about running and making sure that they're the fittest that they can possibly be to do these extraordinary events and stuff. And I just love them. They're just so cool.
But they are normal people with jobs and day jobs. You know, it's not some annoying social media influencer thing where you're like, what do you do with your time? These are people that are managing busy jobs, busy lives, but still managing to put the training in place to go and do amazing events, produce amazing results, but also give people the strategies and the tools through their content to understand how they are managing that. And it's not some, you know, gift to the gab type thing, or like I said, social media influencer type thing, where it's like, you know, you just got to get and do it, and you got to be hard, and you got
Nah,
to
it's
suffer.
nothing like that. And
They've really got a decent strategy in place of how they do things, and
I
they
think,
put that across well.
yeah, and I think that's why I relate to them so much, because they are full-time teachers, and their running and their events and everything to do with their passion takes place outside of that. So they they have all sorts of videos about how to find time, how to fit training into busy work schedules and everything like that. But they do everything with so much humor and enthusiasm and passion that it's very infectious. So I love their stuff. And the hike and a chat that we had with them on Thursday, oh, it was the best day ever. It was a dream come true. And I had to work so hard at not fangirling like that whole time. It's
Yeah,
quite tough.
you're quite the Mary fan, eh?
I'm such a Mary fan. She's
They,
such an inspiration. Yeah, she's straight up my icon. It was amazing to hike and a chat with them on the Thursday, the day before my night race. Actually, it was brilliant. It was perfect timing.
so let's not bury the lead too much, shall we, eh?
Yeah.
And should we go and have this hike and a chat?
Let's have our hike and a chat with Mary and Ben Bridges.
Getting into it. This week, we are lucky enough to be joined by Ben and Mary Bridges from the YouTube channel This Messy Happy. Both Ben and Mary are accomplished runners. Living in Thailand, they train and race regularly and always seem to have another goal on the horizon, which they often share with their audience. Hi, guys. Great to have you along. How's things?
Hello. Yeah, really good. Thanks. Yeah, it's about 20 to 8 in the evening here, so it's a very different time to you. So it's the end of our day. Everything's pretty much done, almost ready for bed, because we are losers that go to bed very early. But how are you guys?
Same. Losers that go to bed early.
Yeah. Absolutely. Gone are the days where I'm an exciting person who doesn't go to bed early.
Yeah, well, I was never that. I've always been that boring person that goes to bed. I am the joke of my friends, so I'm very much fitting to type of how I always have been for my life.
So before we get into things, I need to ask you the standard question we ask every podcast guest that we have on, which is, what have you done this week to get out in it?
Oh, training.
Yeah.
So I am just into my new block for New York Marathon training. I've done 3 runs this week. It's Thursday right now. I hit the track on Tuesday and then 2 easy runs Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday night is our date night, which for us as a couple consists of an hour.
We just
run.
ruined that. Have we ruined date night?
No.
Or is this? Are we having a double
This
date? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, you're on our date night. This is so
Double date. Love it.
Yeah, it's a double date. We had an hour's run together, which was what we call date night. Basically, it's not a traditional date night; it's our date night as a runners.
Night, yeah.
Yeah, we just ran and chatted, and
And then we end at the shop for like a electrolyte drink.
Sounds like a perfect date. That's a perfect date.
I think so. I mean, obviously, all runners are pretty mental, so that actually does sound like quite an appealing date.
It sounds all right to me. As long as the other person's buying the electrolyte drink, I'm game.
Actually, that is exactly what happened.
I
forgot to take my phone.
Forgot.
Yeah.
Funny years,
I didn't take my flip belt, so that was it.
What about you, Ben? What have you done this week to get out in it, mate?
Do you know what? Actually, sadly, exactly the same. So, I went to the gym on Monday. So, we've got a really lovely gym at school. So, what I did was, while Mary is the head teacher at our school, so she works silly hours or more than I do, and sometimes I have to wait for her to chauffeur her home. So, I went to the gym Monday. Track on Tuesday, did kilometer repeats. I'm trying to get used to running a particular pace. I've got an idea. I've got a goal in mind for New York Marathon for myself. But it's very, very hard to train at that race pace over here because the heart rate just goes sky high. But yeah, kilometer repeats, and then like Mary said, easy run yesterday. We ran together in the morning, woke up at like 5 to go running, and then then run date night tonight, and that's as far as we've got.
So for the benefit of those listening, when is the New York Marathon? How long have you both got until that takes place?
Is it 8 weeks now?
8.5 weeks.
8.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8.5 weeks. It's November the 4th, I want to say. Yeah, November the 4th. We've got, I mean, I can tell you now or later in the podcast, we've got whenever you want to do it, we've got a crazy, crazy trip planned for that New York Marathon. It's going to be mental.
We'll do that a bit later. We've got some specific questions around that. But I do want to ask you a quick question about, you're both in Thailand. It's really hot. It's really close. It's humid. When you come and race out of those conditions, is it quite refreshing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a treat. When we went back to the UK in July, we went straight for a local park run, and it was amazing. We didn't even sweat.
We were like, whoa, we're bone dry at the end of this. It's very exciting. Like someone has taken a coat off of you, basically. Yeah. It's as near as I can describe it. The humidity here is just, even on an easy run tonight, we came back just sopping wet from the sweat.
Yeah.
And it was a really easy run.
Were you running faster in the UK as well then?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, I got 2 PBs, didn't I? We were only back for 3 weeks, so it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But
this is poor man's altitude training.
Yeah.
This is like living in a country like this. That's what they always say, is like the body is under duress. In fact, I read an article, weirdly, it must have been 2 weeks ago, where they measured the difference in altitude training and heat training, and actually you get more benefits overall from heat training than you do altitude.
That's interesting.
Mm.
That is interesting.
So despite, as you said a minute ago, it being difficult to train at the pace that is your goal pace for the New York Marathon, it's still a benefit being in that sort of close environment, because when you come out of it does you the world of good.
Oh man, it feels like a different ball game, which is why, I'm trudging along with these kilometer repeats, running it at so I'm trying to run them at 4 minutes a kilometer, which is what in my head I'd like to run the marathon in 2:48, and it's like, but my heart rate it does not play ball in this temperature. But I'm just kind of hoping that by the time I get out of this heat and humidity, that the pace, my body will know the pace and the heart rate will play ball. That's the hope.
So you're both, as we've alluded to already, you both work in education. So, in terms of the importance of exercise as a life skill, do you think that starts to happen at a young age? Do you think you start to learn that at a young age, and people should learn that at a young age?
Ideally, yes. And I think, like, Ben's the director of sport at our school, so that is his job, is to try and help, I think, young people find some kind of sport that they will continue for the rest of their lives. That's the aim. I think
for me, I think it's a fine line. Lots of children do lots of exercise as they grow up, but it's not always their choice. I think, the dropout rate of swimmers, for example, let's take swimmers for an example, I would say it's almost 100% from children that swim regularly to when they become adults, or at least have a choice. The looking at the floor of a swimming pool up and down without very much interaction, and doing it early at the earliest opportunity, they're out. And there's not many pathways for swimmers once you leave school anyway. It's that, it's not like there's a thriving club system like in football. There is clubs and there is fixtures, but it's not the same thing. So what we try and do is rather than get a child to do a particular sport or get a child to do a particular activity, is like create the habits in the children to be able to find time in their life to exercise, or find something. We've got a girl that we teach, I won't say who they are, but we were running around the track the other day. We were doing our kilometer repeat session, and she is, how old is she? 8. She, without anybody like pushing her, she's the daughter of one of our friends, but without anyone pushing her, anyone asking anything, she ran 4 kilometers in that incredible heat. She just ran 10 laps of the track. And she didn't do it for any type of praise or anything, did she?
No, she was just trudging along on her own, like total grit and determination.
But so she is that classic example of someone like she's just the habits are emerging for her. We're just she has access to exercise. She sees lots of people around her exercising. In school, we try and make it fun, and then she starts doing it. So I mean, for me, the key for exercise is not necessarily flogging running or flogging swimming. It's getting people into the habit of doing something, and I think they'll find their ways.
Yeah, and enjoying it, and then feeling good for doing it, and that's the kind of that's the what you hopefully get addicted to, or like you want.
No, it is that you're trying to create an addiction, the healthiest addiction in the world, isn't it? You're just trying to create that addiction with people, like however you can.
I am a perfect example of the swimmer who doesn't like to swim anymore. You know, I swam a lot when I was a kid, and I cannot stand the idea of staring at the bottom of that pool anymore.
Swearing at the pool, definitely.
Swearing at it.
Yeah, that's what you were doing. I work with the guy who was for a time he was the national Thai record holder at 100 meters. He swam it in 50 seconds, and he even on holiday now he doesn't go swimming in the sea, doesn't go in the water.
Wow.
He was that destroyed by the experience of how much he had to do and for how long, and you know what it did to him. He doesn't even go in the water anymore.
I think I grew up in the 80s in the UK, and it was quite traumatic doing PE in the UK in the 80s, especially because it's all sports. And I love, because we had Chrissy on talking about parkrun not that long ago. And she was talking about, she doesn't like to call running sports anymore. She likes to call it movement. Because when I was at school, we did things like rounders or netball or all of those sports. And I was shit. I couldn't play sports. And so all the time in my head throughout teenage years and adulthood, I've always been rubbish at sports. Never thought I was a sporty person. And I only came to running a couple of years ago. And it's changed my mind. It's changed my life. Actually finding this thing that I can do. So finding activities and exercises and not calling them sports, but something that kids love and that gets them outdoors and creates the habits. That's it. That's exactly it.
But it is. Yeah. The habits in place early. I'm that classic. I was just a product of repeated habits as a child. Like running is not something you would naturally choose, I don't think, like as a child, because it's hurts.
Really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard and it hurts. Why would you do it as a child? Like the first time you'd have to be a bit weird, but because I found that I could kind of I was small. So basketball, rule me out. Rugby, rule me out. Like I played because I was sporty to a certain extent, but I wasn't very good. I played football, but running, I found I could tolerate. I think I could just tolerate pain more than most people in that sense. And so I was in the school team. I kept doing it, and the habit built, and the habit built, and the habit built, and suddenly I'm trapped in it in a good way. But I am trapped in the habit of this is what I do. This is me now, and that's what we're trying to, in the nicest possible way, get the kids to that point, trap them in a good habit.
Yes. Excellent. I love that. And I love it for me as well. Even coming to it so late, I think it's brilliant. So absolutely. I've watched 100 billion episodes of This Messy Happy. But by far my most favorite are the ones where you record and share your events when you go to your various events. So I thought it'd be really, really nice if we could, because we've all done events now. Yeah. It'd be really nice if we could just have a little bit of a chat about the potential benefits that entering events can bring to normal people, because none of us is pro. Yeah. But the potential benefits of entering races and competing like that can bring to normal, passionate amateurs like us lot. What does it do for you?
I think we probably got slightly different reasons for doing events, don't you think? Yeah. I mean, mine is I'd say, if you put me on the spot and said, what are your, reasons for doing events? Immediately two things spring to mind. The first thing that springs to mind for me is accountability. I like to have something in the pipeline to give my training purpose. It's not my outcome. It's not my thing that I do it for, but it's something that it gets me out of bed a little bit more. It drives me. If I didn't have an event, I'd still train. But so to put on top of that, the second thing is I like to see what I'm capable of. Like 100-kilometer race that I did last December was the first step into kind of that distance. It was awful. And then I immediately was like, I need to do 100 miles. So so that's how it works. And it's like, oh my God, I've done that. And so the Ironman triathlon that I did, same thing, never had done one, waited for a long time because I was like, I'm not going to do it until I think I can manage this particular time that I wanted to do it. And it's like, yeah, so it's a little bit of accountability, but it's also, I really want to see where I can push my body to, whether it be a pace, whether it be a distance, whether it just be an experience like New York or whatever, where can I take myself and what can I do with running?
Yeah.
That's my one anyway. That's why I do the events I do.
Yeah, I think that second one, well, both of them I would say apply to me as well. But you're right about pushing your limits, because there's no way I would push myself as hard as I do in a race or an event than I do in training. No,
the other way around.
I mean, like it just push your boundaries, push your limits.
Yeah.
In an event and a race, like you really see what you're capable of. So I think that's really exciting. And sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't, but you always learn a lot from that process. So yeah, I think that's a big thing for me, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, reasons other people do, I guess, is like, believe it or not, runners are reasonably social people, and they're actually pretty, I find most pretty supportive, and they want to find out about you and what your goals and ambitions are. A lot of them, some don't care. Some just want to find out they're faster than you. I would never call them like true runners, if I'm honest, but the overwhelming majority totally supportive and just it's the same with triathlon for me. Like, it's what I love about the triathlon community is just people just love the fact you're doing it.
Yeah.
And they want to talk to you about it.
Yeah, and exactly. Do you still race triathlon, or is it purely running now?
No, I mean, I still consider myself a triathlete that runs, but I haven't done very much over here because every time I even think about going out on the road, I just think it would be stupid. I would get knocked over. The roads are chaos over here. So there's only so much Zwift you can do before you go mental. There's no swim clubs near me. So again, I'd have to swim on my own, which is very lonely, and I don't really like swimming. So
quite a big factor.
Yeah, it's quite a big factor. So I have got a race coming up. Got Laguna Phuket in just after New York, but I just signed up for a sprint distance because I couldn't bring myself to not do it because I had friends doing it. One day, maybe when we're in a place where the roads are a bit kinder, I'll get fully back into triathlon, but I'm quite enjoying my running at the moment. It's something that's always been there for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what you say about the reason you do events, that very much aligns with the way I see it. I mean, if I didn't have an event, I would train anyway. Training is just a habit. It's something that if I'm not doing my training, I'm not happy. I know that. It's what I call a contract with life. I may not want to do it in that moment, but if I don't do it long term, I'm not a happy version of me. For the event side of things, like you say, I like to really understand what I can do, but I also really enjoy the day. I enjoy the difference, stepping out of that normal training routine, getting up early, the buzz of the start line, the buzz of the environment, the crowds, the people around you, the people you meet. I really get a lot from that.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it is a buzz, and it's hard to describe to people that haven't yet experienced it. And if people are feeling nervous about doing it, it's something I always say is, it's all right to feel nervous, but until you've actually experienced it, don't rule it out. Don't do it just because you're nervous, because actually it's some of the most inspirational stuff you'll ever see is at races, isn't it? Like, people of different ages, different sizes, everything you can think of happens at a race that is inspiring. Like, it's quite an amazing place to be as a race start line, isn't it, in general?
Yeah.
I think that's why I love I think that's why I love doing I run, I'm a trail runner. And the events, the reasons why I love going to them is exactly what you said, Ben. You see so many normal people, but not you see some super fit athletic people who just run off really quickly and then do it in a crazy time. But the majority of people there, just like me, normal people, they have day jobs, and they're just going to see what they can do. And quite often it's at a different place. So I'm running along different trails, so that's really nice. I quite like that. And I think for me as well, because I've come to my running journey quite late, if I didn't have an event to pin my training on, I'm not convinced right now that I would do that training.
You still got you still got to get that habit absolutely locked down. I mean, it takes a long time. I mean, you're probably almost there, but yeah, I get you.
Yeah, because
I think I
if
would train.
Sorry,
Sorry,
carry on.
I think I would train, but not as hard as I am right now.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
coming back in. You carry on, Mary. I've just realised Mary's left the dog outside. I can hear him scratching on the doorbell.
I think it was both of us.
No, I would be exactly the same. I think I would phone it in so hard if I didn't have a race coming up or an event coming up. I'd be like, whoa, it's so early. Oh, I might Jeff it. I'll walk half, run half.
Yeah, I'm sure I would be the same. Like, I think I've got the habit. I know I'm a better person when I'm training regularly and exercising regularly, but it's like now I'm pushing myself in training because I've got 8.5 weeks and I know it's happening. So yeah, it's good motivational factor for sure.
Yes.
I haven't seen as many of your videos as Maria has because she's a super fan. But you never, no matter what state of suffering you're at, Mary, you never seem to not have a smile on your face in any race or training session I've ever seen you do.
It's quite the motivator watching you do your events, Mary. It's like, if Mary can do it, I could. This is what I think when I'm going through pain.
Oh, that's amazing.
You don't see what happens off camera.
Yeah. I was really nice to you in the
were you?
Oh,
yes. Apart from, so there was a very funny moment in the last race, wasn't there? Can I say it about the gel? So Mary, we didn't get it on camera, but Mary was trying to eat a Coca-Cola gel and not getting much in her mouth and not realizing that there's a split in the bottom. It was just going everywhere over her pink outfit, all down her chin, her face, her legs.
It was so thick, dark brown.
There was a moment that wasn't on camera that wasn't very positive.
I was about to pack in the race. No,
you literally stopped. She stopped running because she had some gel on her. I was like, marathon. What are you doing?
I had to just clean up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it did look like she had a bit of an issue. Yeah, had a Paula Radcliffe moment. So I suppose it's justified there.
Yeah, and if you've had a Paula Radcliffe moment, it's made it onto your chin, then stopping is the only way.
Yeah.
Quite. Yeah, I mean, you really need to clean up quick.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I get it though, because that pink running outfit, I mean, it's beautiful. Of course you're going to want to stop and clean it up.
Yeah, well, in Thailand you've got
you were like the photos.
Like, you've got photographers at like every few kilometers and
everywhere,
and they do a good job. So I knew, I didn't want to waste that opportunity.
So let's talk about approach to racing and what we use it for, because as Ben was saying, you like to find out what you're capable of. Both of you are in that camp. How much do you race per year? And do you use some races for training? Is every race that you do an attempt to try and go as fast as you can?
I think there's a mix. Like, we probably grade our races as well. So like A races would be the ones we're really going for, that all our training's kind of focused on. And then some races, I think, like on the road, it's tricky because it's so much more time pressured.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, because in Bangkok, all the races are flat, standard half marathon distance. You're kind of trying to beat the clock in a way.
Even if you told yourself you're not going to, do you feel yourself getting sucked into that? I've got to run a certain pace. I don't have that
option in me, really. I don't think. Like it's
both pretty competitive.
Unless it's I mean, we did a video a while ago where I covered my watch up and just I tried to run a particular time that I picked before the race, and it was the only time I've run a half marathon for so many years where I'm not necessarily trying to run a time. I'm just trying to run as hard as I can and see what happens. So it's not like I'm not upset if I run this time or that time, because in Thailand you could run anywhere, but there's a 10-minute window depending on how hot it is. Yeah. So you can't have that, I'm going to run, this is my PB, so I'm going to try and get near that. It's more about what place can you finish. But yeah, I would say, Mary's right. You got your A goals, you got your process goals that kind of give you an indication of where your fitness is at, that we factor into the training, and then we just have to fund stuff.
Yeah, I think that's why like trail running is something we've both really gotten into here. And I think that is so refreshing because
You've gotten into.
Yeah,
I was into it.
Yeah, I was not.
You were
really
tentative,
and now
I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's a refreshing kind of like dimension to racing for us, because there's no time pressure, because it is about completing, and every course is so different, and so you approach that in a different way. And I think that's quite good and enables us probably to do more events than we would, because it's stuff that's so different and it's way more chilled.
This is the little pest that was.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
this is Jesse.
Hello.
He's the pest of the two. Winnie's downstairs, but sorry, he's like circling us like a little shark now.
no, he's more than welcome. He's more than welcome.
We love animals on the pod.
Yeah,
Not this one, you wouldn't.
But that's exactly why I do trail running, is because there's no pace pressure, because I am not speedy.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
It's okay. It's not too bad. But what I have discovered through trail running is I can keep on going, and I think that's just as good as being super fast, I reckon.
100%. In fact, it's a big part of trail running. It is a massive part of trail running. It's keep on going.
Yeah, it's just a totally different experience. But yeah, I think all respect to everyone out on the trails. And I was terrified doing my first trail run, and Ben was so scared to like see me at the finish, because he thought I was going to be so angry. But like suggesting I did it, because it was like, I used to say I hate hills. And
well, I was up ahead. I was running the same race, and I was running with John, and it was the UTMB one a couple of years ago, and we were like climbing up sheer wall type bits at some points, and I was like, oh, John, Mary's going to be so angry with me. And then she just came over the line like beaming. Say that again.
What distance was it, that one?
Oh, that was like 25k.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 25k one.
Yeah. It was your first step, wasn't it? And it was like, but it was punchy. You know, it was 1,000 meters of elevation or something, and it was like, you know, there's some sheer climbs.
Yes.
And I just remember thinking, oh my God, Mary's gonna hate me.
Like rice paddies, like all crazy stuff.
But you had the biggest smile when you came over the line.
Yeah, it was like the best thing I'd ever done.
Nice.
So it turned out all right.
Dodged a bullet.
Yeah, well, when you tell that story, I was having flashbacks to a relay we and Maria did last summer in Beaujolais, where I did the swim and the bike of a triathlon, and she was doing the run. And I'd said, oh, looking at the bike distance, I'll be done in 2.5 hours. I'll be back. You make sure you're in transition. 3.5 hours later, I was still suffering in the 40-degree heat. And all I could think about was, Maria's going to be so angry. She's going to be so pissed. She's going to be so angry. It's all that was going through my head until I got back to T2.
Yeah, and I was, because the thing is, it was the end of June, I think, and it was just the start of a heat wave, and I was kind of watching the temperature go up and up and up. So by the time you did arrive, about 2:30, I think, it's about 36 degrees. Ouch. And I had to then go and run, and it was a loop half marathon as well, just around the lake. So it's kind of flat, so it's not too bad, but it was just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And there were some parts that were so exposed, and it was so, and I was shitting myself. The later it got, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm literally going to die. But it was actually good fun. It was quite good fun.
They always are in the end.
Yeah, there's nothing better than getting back to T2 and racking your bike and knowing someone else has got to do the run for you as well.
Yeah, I'm checking out for the day.
It's a good feeling. I got myself a beer and stood by the railing and watched you do your laps.
Yeah, I definitely hated you when I saw you with the beer. When I went past, you absolute bastard.
Yeah.
So tell us about, what are some of the best events that you've done, best experiences, best moments, best achievements you guys have had?
Oh, mine's easy. Mine's the London Marathon, hands down. Like, there's nothing I've done that has ever come close to that so far. It's just, I mean, that was very much on the day I got the time I was looking for, but more than that, I was like, I think I was on the verge of tears for the whole 42 kilometers. Like it was so inspiring. It's like, you know, it's weird. Like there are strangers that come out of their house that have no business knowing you. They don't, you know, they've got no need to support you. And they're screaming your name as if you're their brother or sister. It's like, it's the most mental experience, which I'm kind of looking forward to New York, but London's my home. Like we lived 30 minutes outside of London. Like the London Marathon is my home race. So there's something a little bit more special about London than there will be New York for that particular reason. But I think New York's going to be amazing. But yeah, for me, London.
It's very special. I've done London twice, and I echo that. There's something, I've said this to you, Maria, several times. There's something very magical about that day.
Yeah.
And it's the time is almost irrelevant, isn't it? It's just the body of noise that you're running through and the community that comes together. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's Britain and it's community and it's England or Britain at its best.
Yeah.
Rallying around a sports event. What was yours?
What about you, Mary?
I really want to run London. In terms of what I have done, I think the UTMB in Thailand, actually the trails, because it was so different for me. And like one thing we haven't really touched upon with doing events is the places you get to see. And that place where UTMB is, it's the highest mountain in Thailand, around that in this national park, and the views were amazing. The whole kind of landscape is just incredible. You're running through, starting in the dark. That was it. Everything I'm scared of, but it makes you feel so epic that you're facing your fears. Really tough, challenging terrain, but incredibly beautiful. And I don't think I've ever felt more epic than when I finished that. Twice I've run it now, and I'm going back this year for my first ultra marathon.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it feels like such a special place because it was, like the first of like many trail experiences for me, but it had everything. Yeah. So, yeah.
How far is the ultra going to be that you're running there this year?
It's going to be 50.
Okay,
so
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's 50 and it's just over 3,000 meters of elevation, so it's quite punchy. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah. Need to get some poles.
Poles were an absolute game changer. My home race, the one that I love going back to every year, is the UTBV, which is a 55k ultra just across in the Beaujolais, and that's I think that's about 3,000 meters of elevation as well.
3,700.
3,700. And last year was the first year we did it with poles, and it changed everything.
Did it?
Yes. Yeah, it's amazing.
I was fucked though, wasn't I?
You were a little fucked that race, yeah.
That's what it is. With that elevation, how can you not be? I say that to everyone. Everyone's like, prepare all you like going up hills. It's the downhills. That's what kills you.
It's the down is the kill. I'm coming off the back of 2 years of injury. I broke my ankle in January 2022. And then I just about got that rehabbed, managed to do this race, and then came into this year with some unbalances, and my hip has gone. So I'm just coming out the back of a hip injury. So I'm incredibly frustrated. I'm running about 10k now. I can run about 10k just about, but the comeback is on. But it's been a frustrating 2 years.
Yeah,
I bet. Back on the road though.
Slowly.
I was going to say that is how you got to take it. Everyone, you can't rush back into these things because it's more than anything. Races take away. It's for life, right? You're doing it for life. I'm going to do this until I die. I guarantee you. I'm not stopping. So you have to approach it like that in terms of your, a couple of extra weeks to get back to it or whatever, however long it takes. It is what it is.
And I think that's another reason actually why I like doing events, because even though my brain, I know I'm running for my health, so I can be autonomous when I'm in my 8th and 9th decade. I'm obviously doing it for those reasons. But in the short term, the events are something a bit more tangible that I can hold on to and say, I've got this thing to look forward to. I'm going to do that. And then you run it and it's amazing and you get that epic high and it's super, super cool. And I think for me, I need that kind of short-termism as opposed to just thinking it's just so that I don't die too early, or so that when I'm 90, I can still walk around on my own. And they're
you
a
like
little
medals,
bit intangible. I do like a medal.
Yeah. So does Mary.
Whenever we go and do a trail race that doesn't have a medal, I have to have one made for you.
I'm so upset. Yeah. Like it's weird.
That's the next level.
It is, but France is not like Thailand, obviously, and the UK. Like if you just for participating in events in the UK, you get, because we've done the Bristol Half a couple of times, and I haven't got anywhere near winning. I get a medal, but in France, you only get a medal for first, second, and third. That's it.
Really?
Participants get nothing.
Oh my goodness.
France has a little bit of a barrier to entry problem as well, doesn't it? I've found in order to do to sign up for any sort of race, whether as a amateur or a professional, whatever, you have to go to your doctor and get a medical certificate saying that you were
You
healthy
do.
enough to
Yeah.
run the race.
Yeah.
And so I think that it puts a huge amount of people off. People that, maybe don't want to go to their doctor and even take the chance of getting some bad news, or just don't think that they are in that position to race. I think as a society, they need to get rid of that.
Yeah, definitely
You
agree.
do a
Yeah,
lot
that's
more.
crazy.
It is crazy. And that's why we
So
don't have parkrun. Parkrun's not over here.
Yeah.
And so at the races, like I guess there's fewer participants and fewer
Yeah.
races.
So they're not I don't like where I live, trail races are super popular. There's loads and loads and loads throughout the year. So you can always enter an event, but they're not it's not packed. Like the first time I did the Bristol half and there was like what 20,000 people there, I shat my pants. I was like, how is
what
it
are
possible?
all these people?
It was so because you might get like the UTBV is the biggest one I've done, the ultra trail. And there you might, it's not even 1,000, you might get 600 or 700 at the start line, but that's it. It's this much, much smaller over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that is a shame.
Thailand is all about the bling and the medals, isn't it?
Love that. Yeah, it should be.
T-shirts, medals. If you finish in the top 100, you get like cuddly toys. It's crazy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. The bling and the cuddly toys. That makes the hard work all worth it.
Am I gonna have to start getting you cuddly toys as well as having medals made for you now?
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about your upcoming trip to America. What have you got planned?
yes.
When did that unfold, and what's on the agenda?
Been a long time in the making, actually, because we qualified for 2020 New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then along came COVID. So this is the last year we can run our place.
Yeah, we had to kick it all the way down the line. Like we qualified in 2019 with Mary with a half marathon time that was good enough for me with a marathon time. So like we got on the website on the day and, we applied, we got through, it's quite a rigorous process to even get into the New York Marathon. It was really tricky. And then like Mary said, COVID hit and we just went, I don't know what we're doing with our life in the near future. So we kicked it as far down the line as we could, which is this year. But it's going to be an interesting journey.
Yeah, because it's time and because we're teachers.
Oh, no.
Okay.
And New York from Bangkok is the opposite side of the world.
Yeah. 24 hours.
Oh,
so we asked very nicely for a couple of days to travel for this once in a lifetime opportunity.
So you're surgical. You're flying in. You're ignoring the chance of jet lag. You're racing and you're flying home.
We have 2 days off work. We fly Friday night from Thailand. We land 24 hours ish of flying. We land 11 a.m. on the Saturday morning. We register. We go straight to the register. We then go straight to the hotel. Probably go to sleep. Run the marathon. Hang out Sunday afternoon, and then Monday morning fly back to Thailand.
I mean,
that is
I quite
mental.
like that. You're not going to even give the jet lag a chance to know where you are.
That's it. No, that's how we're looking at it.
Yeah, just straight in.
We blew all our savings to fly business class because we're like, right, if we're doing this once ever, we're going to lie down.
So, love that. Yeah,
nice.
I figured it would make a good race video.
Yeah, exactly that. Also,
make a travel video out of that one. Yeah, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So it will be interesting, but we plan on sleeping a lot on the flight and hope that in some way negates all of the kind of side effects of long haul travel.
But then you've got like a full week at school straight after.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll worry about that when we.
We'll pick up the piece, and then we've got the ultra marathon about 4 weeks later as well. So we'll just pick up those pieces later on. We're not even thinking about it. Don't forget your
compression socks on the flight, eh?
100%. Yeah.
So are you
amazing.
Are you still going in with goal times, or are you going to be like physiologically we're going to struggle a bit because of the travel? Are you just going to ignore that and go in with the time?
You've hit the nail on the head.
I'm treating it just like an extra long sleep.
Yeah.
We'll lie down and sleep as best as we can.
Yeah.
And hope for the best.
We know from traveling back to the UK in the summer, we know actually the one biggest side effect that we found was the first few days that we were in the UK, we had elevated heart rate on the runs from the kind of jet lag and the long haul travel. I don't think that's avoidable. is that the right word? I think that is unavoidable. I don't think that's avoidable in the New York situation, but we're just gonna. I'm going for 2:48. Like I know in my head I have a 2:40 time marathon in me, and I'm not getting any younger. So I'm like, it has to come out at some point. I live in Thailand. I'm not going to run it here. So my options are getting more and more limited. So I'm just going to go for it and hope that I don't have a very awful experience.
What about you, Mary? What's your goal for that race?
I'm gonna go for sub 3:30. I think I've got more in me, but I don't feel like I need to rush it because I've been on a good roll this year. Like I've managed to get PBs in every distance, and we've got Boston Marathon next year. So I think I've never broken that 3:30 barrier. So I'd rather just take my time, nail it in New York, and have a good time and a good day. And I think that's doable and will enable me to still, hopefully be able to enjoy and soak it all up and everything like that.
Yeah.
So we'll
yeah,
see.
so once in a lifetime type situation, that isn't it?
Yeah, we don't want to get to that point where we're actually not taking any of it in, and there's like snot running down our nose, and you're delirious, and you're not actually appreciating that you're running through Manhattan or Central Park or whatever. That's really more important, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah.
It'll be a hell of a weekend. Hell of a weekend.
Yeah.
From start to finish. That moment that you land back in Thailand, there'll be a did that actually just happen moment.
Yeah.
One of those ones where people at work are like, so what did you get up to this weekend?
well. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's brilliant. Do people at your school think you're a bit bonkers?
Yeah, I think
so. We've got people that are same as us. Like if you've seen some of the videos, Mikey is in a lot of our videos, and equally as mad. John, who works nearby, totally bonkers, that we run a lot of the races with. So there's people around that are as mental as us, for sure, but not many in the school. People like we said at the start, really, people look at you running in the heat and they're like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, well, I mean,
honestly, why are you doing that? What are you running from?
We were in Sicily for a wedding in July, and it was 45 to 48 degrees. So we were getting up at 5 o'clock every morning to go for a run where it was only 33, 34 degrees.
Yeah.
We were getting the run done, and there was a big WhatsApp group for the wedding, everybody that was attending the wedding, and everybody's like, oh, what was people doing today? And we'd post pictures of getting up for a run at 5, and everybody was like, what are you doing? We'd only just got in at that time.
Lots of smug points, though. I think I love the feeling of smugness that comes with that as well. I'm not afraid to admit it either.
No,
there were a few moments, yeah.
And it's really funny because before I started running, I used to do a lot of hiking on the trails around my house, and I'd see plenty of runners. And in my brain, as they went past, I would always think, "Oh, smug bastard." No, I'm a smug bastard, and I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Life is better smug, I think.
It really is.
I'm all right with it.
That was your response, wasn't it? It was 2 years ago. We were hiking in the Beaujolais, and I said to Maria, I think, because she's done a lot of hiking, she hadn't done much running ever, any running.
No.
And I said, I think your mindset would suit an ultra marathon. And the next day, I talked her into going for a run with me, because your response to me at that time was, "No, I've got no interest in running. It's for smug bastard." So I talked her into going for a run with me, and then it sort of grew from there. And 3 months later, she did her first ultra marathon of 56 kilometers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, really slowly, but it was the best day out.
Months.
That's amazing.
Good coaching, you see.
10 years
Good
to get
coaching.
to a marathon.
Well, I mean, like for 4 weeks after that, my legs were shot. I was very uncomfortable.
I'm not surprised.
Very uncomfortable, but no, it got me super duper hooked, and I've never looked back. So yeah, I am now that smug bastard, and I love it.
Yeah, welcome to the club, the smug club.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you qualify for Boston next year, Mary. Tell us about that, mate. How did that come to pass?
Well, I'll try and do long story short, but we got very emotional watching Boston this year, and thought, this is epic, when can we do it? And we looked at the date for next year and realized it falls right in the middle of our school holiday, which it doesn't usually happen. So we were like, this is an opportunity. Checked all the entry times and qualification times, and Ben already had one from Bangkok Marathon last November. But I didn't. I just missed out. And because I just turned 45 as well, I got an extra 10 minutes on my required time. So we just had to find a marathon at some point before next week, which is when the registration window is. Mm-hmm. And I just had to run under 350. So that was it, mission on. And we traveled down to the south of Thailand.
Yeah, we found a race that would fit perfectly. So we just flew down to the south of Thailand, had a modest goal. We were like, look, I think Mary can run sub 330. I think she can run a lot faster actually and will in time. But we were like, right, 350 is the qualifying time. Let's just aim for 340. I think a 10-minute window there's never been 10-minute cut down off of Boston. I think the biggest there's ever been, because each year they cut it back a little bit just to make sure they've got the right amount of qualifiers. The most they've ever cut it down by is like 7 minutes something. So we were like, well, let's just aim for 10 minutes. I'm certain that we can do that. And yeah, just went really. In fact, you ended up running a PB on the day, didn't you? Because it's the first marathon that's actually gone well.
Yeah.
And what was your time on the day?
My time on the day was 3:35.
Oof, banging.
Amazing.
11.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so good. And I was terrified because my other marathon experiences have been pretty horrific, to be honest. Too excited, gone out too hard, and then fallen to pieces at like 35k. So I just took a very measured approach, and Ben offered to pace me, which at first I rejected because I thought it would make me really angry and annoyed.
There's points. I know everyone goes through this, by the way, and I'm not saying it's me as well, but there are points when we're out running together. If it doesn't go our way, it gets a bit fractious in this heat. Let's just say that. And it's like, that's natural, I think.
Yeah, but absolutely.
Actually, I think where I've made a load of progress in the last year, that's happened less and less. Not that I was
just a crabby run.
Totally crabby.
No.
But like when I'm racing, for me, I always am on my own, and I'm really focused, and I don't want to talk to people particularly if I'm, trying to run a time. But I thought actually this is going to be really helpful because Ben is like a master at pacing and nailing a race plan. So I then accepted the offer and
kindly accepted.
We ran together and we had a really strict plan to go really cautious in the first half, stick to the pace and then see what's there and maybe push on later, which I never thought I'd be able to do, but it did all come together on the day.
So it was all down to me. No, I'm joking. That is absolutely not the case. I literally just ran alongside just every now and then saying, check your watch. Like it was the heart. I was just monitoring. I had a really stroke of luck. My heart rate monitor broke, so I didn't put it on. And then when I started the race, mine connected to Mary's. So I was like almost like a little spy looking at her heart rate.
Oh, nice. I love that.
We both had her heart rate on our watches. So I'm like, Mary, you're just creeping out of zone 2. Like I could literally real time keep her in check a little bit from the excitement. And that's all I had to do. It was just every now and then a little prompt. And that was it, wasn't it?
And like, give me the reassurance, I think, that it was okay to slow down. Like,
were you having to rein yourself in, or were you having to motivate to push along?
I think rein in.
You were definitely having to rein in.
And I don't know if you get this, but I find like when I'm in a race, if I like to go a bit ahead of myself, like feel like I'm collecting bits of time as I go along. But Ben was like, the pace we were running, we were able to chat and it was very relaxed and it was really good to like process those thoughts and talk about, actually you've got plenty of time. And I was like, it held me back from going into that little mini competition with myself.
That almost never works, by the way. I am so against that tactic. We've got loads of mates that do it, that buy credit. They go, if I run fast enough at the start, if I do fall apart, then I've got some time in the bank. And I'm like,
no,
you will fall apart.
That's
the point.
Apart.
Yes.
And I know that. But I even think if it's just 5 seconds, that's okay. And I'm like, you know, in the past I've thought, oh, it's all gonna work out because I feel great. But I know now.
And then she ends up like comes over the finish line with white foam around her mouth. You're like, this did not go to plan.
Yeah. So having a pacer worked for you in that particular race.
Yes.
Did
Yeah.
did your within that time period of the race happening, did your relationship survive? Were you friends come the end?
You know what? It was actually like the best experience, I think.
Yeah, 100%. The only one moment where it even threatened a kind of small falling out was, like we already said, like the Coca-Cola all down her face and leg and top. And
So that was that one, was it?
Yeah, that was just recently.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that race. But
Yeah.
it was very much like, Mary, we got to keep running. And you're like, oh yeah. So we were back off again, and it was no problem. I get how Mary is as a runner. Like we all, we know each other as a runner, and I know myself and I know Mary, and Mary is very, very focused when running. And I'm happy to chat to people, and I'm filming with the GoPro a lot of the time, and I'm like, that's my style, is that I'm not particularly focused in that way. I go with it. Whereas, so I try to back off you as much as possible. And when you're willing to talk, have a chat, and let you then just do your thing. Other than that, I think so. It worked quite nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, it was such an amazing experience to share. So yeah, I'd say it was a good.
Yeah, that's what we said. Is I'm so super happy that no matter what happens with Mary in her running journey from now, and like running faster and faster and faster, I was with her the time that she ran the marathon for the first time, and it didn't go badly. Like, that's really I watched cool. Mary have a good experience, and it was amazing.
That's nice. Yeah.
And it was really good. And no one can take that away from us.
No. And I can say a similar thing. I paced Maria to her half marathon PB at Bristol this year. And nice. I love pacing that race for the same reasons that you just outlined. It was, for me, it was a real sort of privilege, to be able to run alongside you, check in when I needed to check in, make sure you're okay, but not disrupt you too much. And then if I felt you were falling back, I'd just run back a little bit and slowly guide you back up to the pace we should be running at.
Yeah, I'm not very talkative.
No, you're not wholly talkative, but it was a great experience, and I'll never forget.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Ultimately, I mean, we run a lot of our own races. We run the same races, but separately. But every now and then, we've done ones together, and it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've done the good things.
What about
you must have had some horror shows over the years?
Horror stories.
I've probably had more than you.
I've been so lucky. I think I've only had one bad race experience ever. I'm pretty certain. Maybe two. Like I made the cardinal error of believing when I moved to Thailand that I could definitely still run the same pace in a half marathon. Learned that lesson very, very harshly. That I blew up so spectacularly that I was like, I nearly got put off of running half marathons forever and ever and ever. I was like, it was awful. I never walked in a race, and I went so hard that I just absolutely blew up. And then I had another bad one in an ultra marathon, but I mean, it's an ultra marathon, isn't it? So sometimes you're gonna have
it's going to be hurt. Yeah, it's going to be bad. Yeah.
Generally mine, I've been pretty lucky. You haven't had that many bad experiences, have you?
No, I think, with like moving to Thailand, the heat was really tough. And I think it's quite hard to get into racing here when you've come from a colder climate. So there's been a few tough races, and you can't match the paces you run in other places. And it's pretty brutal. And often they start at midnight or 1 a.m. And they might be along like a soulless highway. And you're sort of really questioning your choices at that point.
Yeah, your life decisions. Yeah.
But yeah, probably my worst race was probably Seville Marathon, but I only remember it fondly, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, it was very, very painful. I was doing okay up to I hit 30k fine, and then I copied you thinking it would be a good idea to take a Pro Plus.
Oh yeah, Mary took a caffeine tablet and just blew her heart rate out of the water.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think it was that, and I'd gone hard, and my heart rate just went it skyrocketed and I felt absolutely awful.
That was actually the white foam incident that we were talking about a minute
Yeah.
ago. Like that
Yeah,
was that
okay.
one across the line, like a you were really disorientated.
Yeah.
Disorientated, yeah.
Yeah, there's the word. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like 35k. I was still running, and then I needed to take a wee, so I stopped in one of the cubicles, sat down, and I was like, didn't want to stand up again, and then I just struggled to get back to running. So I was running, walking, heart rate was up high, and I don't remember much of the last 5k. It was a blur, and I think I
Wow.
went over the finish line, white faced.
The GoPro footage is very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was
bet.
still my marathon PB until just over a week ago. So yeah, I had gone hard at the beginning, way too hard.
Amazing. I feel like my horror story is going to be tomorrow night. I signed up stupidly at the weekend randomly. I signed. It's only 10k. It's tomorrow night. It's a night race, and I am terrified of the dark. And it's 100% trails in the forest. It's not too far. It's very, very local to me. It's just in the villages around where I live. And it's only 10k, but it's 550 meters elevation.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's gonna
10k.
Yeah, so it's gonna sting. And it's in the
What
dark.
time do you start?
9:30.
Oh,
So yeah, it's gonna be. So I feel like tomorrow night is gonna be my big horror story.
No,
it could be the
it's going
best
to be your
ever.
success story.
But there's a reason for this, isn't there? I mean, I think it's worth highlighting that this year you're doing the UTBV ultra marathon, and because I've been so injured and I'm not in a position to run it with you, you're doing it on your own. And instead of being 56 kilometers this year, it's going to be 80 kilometers. It's the first time you've done an ultra marathon on your own without me there to keep you company. And you wanted to do a race this week that you are scared of, so that when you do that race on your own and you get scared, you can remind yourself that you did this, which I think is a brilliant tactic.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is the way to do it.
Yeah,
You
well,
look excited.
I think by the time I finished, I'm going to be absolutely shitting kittens tomorrow at 5 o'clock when I pick up my little bib. But I think by the time I get to the start line and I'm with, or because the trail runners around here are so nice.
Yeah.
Everybody's really, really kind. And it's a really small local one. Like I think there's going to be like max 300 people. So it's teeny tiny.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be last and get lost in the forest and die.
Then those things won't happen.
Okay.
Almost never happen.
I have been assured that 0 people have died in this race because I did ask, obviously. But I feel like I'm going to be that first one.
No, not having it. Be fine.
Will you let us know when
Yeah,
you finish?
can you give us 3 rings? Give us 3 rings when you get in.
I will, yeah.
Okay, good.
When's your 80k?
That will be October the 7th. So that's on Saturday. So that one starts at 5 a.m. So that's the other thing as well. I've never done nighttime trails because I run alone. And I've never wanted to run through the forest on my own at night because that would be crazy.
Yeah.
So this one starts at 5 a.m. and it will be dark because it's October. So I thought this would also be tomorrow would also be quite an interesting training one for the start in the dark as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's all good experience, isn't it? Like you said, there's a saying I I absolutely love that I always say to the kids, and I am like a walking cliche. Like I just pick up sayings that I like, but it's like if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. So you've got to be scared by stuff.
Yeah. I'll counter that with another cliche that if you
go on, hit me.
Yeah, if you're never scared, then you never get the opportunity to be brave, do you?
This is it. Absolutely.
There you go.
That's true. Yes. Yeah.
So what do we do when we're talking about horror stories? When a race goes wrong, what do we do as competitive athletes that stops us letting that experience send us into meltdown and come back and do it again?
I think it's the lens that you look at it through. Like, what really? If you have a bad race, I'm of the mind, like, so what? You know, some races, I think you have to accept as a runner, races are gonna go badly. You want the vast majority to go well, but there's no guarantees. And if they go badly, so what? You know, there's a surfer saying, isn't there? There's always another wave. I'm like, all right, I'm doing this for life. This is not the end point of my journey. So if I have a bad race, I'll make sure it's not as bad, hopefully, the next one. There's no guarantees, but yeah, I don't want to say it flippantly, because I know for some people it is really devastating when you have a bad race, but it's never bothered me, because I guess I would get it. It's about the process for me always. So the outcome is almost irrelevant in my head. I hope that I have a good race, but I don't really care if I do or not. I just want to get back into the process of doing again, and the training, and the being part of my life. I think that's where I come from on that one.
Yeah. I think like I've had a couple of bad marathons as well, and last November in Bangkok it went wrong, and I thought I was so ready for that race and so confident, and I'd nailed my training, and the race just didn't work out, and I was gutted, and I was like, I gave myself a few days to just feel a bit sad and frustrated, but then for me it was just fuel for the fire for next time. And just using that as motivation to keep working, and then knowing that there will be a race that goes well in the future.
If it always went well, surely you'd never get stronger.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Well, adversity is like, you need another cliche, another classic one is it, like I heard again yesterday, is the tree without wind grows tall, but the tree in the wind grows strong. So it's like that they did that experiment, didn't they, where they had this dome that scientists lived in, and all these trees were growing, but they just kept falling over, and they realized it's because there was no wind in there to actually make the roots grow so deep and strong that they became strong.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I think I need to remember that when things are getting hard.
You need the wind in your life to give you strong roots.
Yes.
Weird cliche.
Okay. Yeah.
Weird saying.
Wind in your life. And I think, speaking to vegans, we definitely have plenty of wind in our life.
Yeah, I was going to say, you need all sorts of wind in your life.
So how about bucket list events or scary events that you want to do but haven't yet signed up for because they're a bit too...
UTMB for me, number one, like 100%. Like that's the holy grail for me, as well as potentially Western States 100. My mate's our mate's done that. One of our best mates, he did it a couple of years ago. For you, London Marathon surely is.
Yeah, I'd like to do the marathon majors.
Yeah.
There's a race in Norway I really want to do, which is the Midnight Marathon or the Midnight.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I'd love to do that race.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
I'd like to go. I'd like to do at least one 100 miler as well, and I want to do a 24-hour race, like stuff like that. I want to really push see what I can do, basically. But I don't want to do UTMB 100 because that is something like 11,000 meters of elevation over the 100 miles, and I did the 100K last year, and I think some of my soul is still out there. So I'd rather do a slightly flatter 100 miler first, maybe. First.
Yeah, 100 milers on my bucket list too. And obviously, we've just had the UTMB, and I can see Mont Blanc from my living room window.
Oh, wow.
And the coverage over here has been mental for UTMB stuff. And watching Courtney Doyle to come through, I was like, I want to do it so hard.
Yeah.
But basically any 100 miler, I would love to have a crack at 100 miler and see if I can do it, see if I've got it in me.
Oh yeah. That's the beauty of also being surrounded by people like John, who's always in the videos. Like, the guy is an absolute nutter that we love, and he's done 6 or 7 100-mile races, and the stories he tells you're like, I just got to have some of that, even though it's horrible still. Actually, some of it's like I was hallucinating and crying, and like I went over 2 nights, and you're like, oh man, that sounds amazing. I don't know why, because it actually doesn't, but he's got, I always think he's got the same demeanor as potentially someone who has killed a man. Like, there's a different edge in their eyes. You can tell if someone's been in the army and they possibly have done something that, takes them to this different level, this different plane, and not necessarily in a good or bad way, but they've seen things.
Yeah.
John is like that. To him, a 50k that we do, every now and then is like, it must be like a park run to him,
like a training run.
Yeah, it's like I should probably take a gel, but I haven't got one.
I went for a 30k run with him in Thailand. He didn't took no gels, no fluid, no nothing. And we stopped at a shop and he just bought a lemon iced tea or something.
Mental.
But you've got to be surrounded by people like that.
And those are the sort of characters you meet at these ultra trails, aren't they? The unique characters.
Yeah.
100%.
It's lucky that he's channeled all of that energy into running, huh?
Yes, definitely.
I don't think it was always that way, but yes, I think I'm glad that he broke his leg a long time ago in Koh Phangan on a moped, and he swore from that point, because he nearly lost it. He swore from that point he'd never take his legs for granted again, which is what sent him in this direction.
Oh wow,
Mm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Future events? What's coming up for you in the future?
Yeah, well, New York,
yeah.
UTMB, Boston. That's as far as we got.
Well, I booked 2 50Ks.
Oh yeah, North Face 100 as well. Well, North Face 50K. They brought the North Face series back. That was like quite big just before COVID in Asia. They had like the North Face 100 series, which was like 100-kilometer races and 50K versions, blah blah blah, in Singapore, Hong Kong, China, Thailand. So that's coming back, and that's quite a popular, well-known series over here, isn't it? So
yeah,
we've got that.
Nice.
Yeah, bits and bobs.
So basically, loads of awesome videos coming my way.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. If I can convince Mary to take the GoPros, you're getting so good at it now.
Thank you.
Oh, you thought
so
I was
too.
about to criticize. Oh, no, I was just gonna say, like, Mary's actually outdoing me now in terms of the filming. I was very smugly used to be like, right, don't put your hand over the microphone and all of that. And then one race not so long ago, I think it was me that did all of that, wasn't it? And you had the perfect filming race, and I had hand over microphone or didn't turn it on, or yeah.
What I enjoy about your videos is how whenever you're both in an event together and you're both pushing to get those best race times you can, it cuts to Ben and he looks utterly fucked. And it cuts to Mary and she's just smiling and going, "Yeah, I see you'll run another PB."
It's actually annoying, isn't it?
It's only when the camera's on.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Maybe I should stop recording the bits where I look like a zombie and actually do this. All right.
Or maybe I need to run harder.
I don't know. You do. That is something that I've noticed, though. Even in the Bangkok marathon, where you had arguably your worst marathon, like, you were still smiley and positive and upbeat. It's actually pretty annoying.
That was, I think, the biggest example of that in one of your videos that I've seen is when you tried to run 10K a day for a month. And Ben, you fell off a cliff, and Mary was just like, "Yeah, this is easy. I'm doing this. This is fine."
I know. I really did fall off a cliff. I was on the elliptical by the end, wasn't I?
Oh yeah. I was thriving.
You were, yeah. So what you might not know about Mary is, back in the day, she was one of the fastest 200-meter runners in the county in Cheshire. Like, she was absolutely so. She's always run to certainly a higher level than I ever did. I was like a little shaved bird that kind of just did stuff, like turn up, do a swimming event, and everyone got out by the time I'd finished. Like, the rest of the swimmers, already done. But you were actually quite a high level competitor, so it's
when I was like young though.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's something to be
said. Never goes away
in terms of legs. Yeah, exactly. You are very, let's say, touch wood and all that, but you're very fortunate. Like, I have to really fight away injuries. Like, my body is just it just holds together, whereas Mary is much luckier.
Same as me. If I tried to do that 10K a day thing, I would last maybe 10 days before something started to really go off the boil. Whereas Maria's just done it. She's just done 10K a day for August.
And summer holidays, because I'm a teacher too, so summer holidays. So what are you going to do? Run 10K every day. That's what you're going to do.
It was so irritating watching how robust she is, just bouncing through the month. And I was like, well, my hip would have gone by now. My calf would have gone a week later.
I know that feeling. It is. Yeah. I'm very happy for Mary. I'm just frustrated for my own body, not like, there's no bitterness. It's just I wish...
No, I hold bitterness. I've got loads of it.
I'm only saying that for the podcast. Don't turn it, so I definitely hold.
Crossing his fingers.
So if there's anyone out there that's listening to this and thinking, you know what, I've never done an event before. I run a little bit or I train a little bit, but I've never signed up for a race because I've been a bit scared of what it's like there, what the atmosphere is like. Do I have to be a certain pace? Do I have to be a certain standard? What message would you give to those people now?
Do it.
Enter.
Just do it. Don't
Yeah.
even think. Turn your brain off. Turn emotion off. Don't try and rationalize. Just sign up and experience it and then make your decision. If you still didn't like it, fair enough. Whatever. But I can guarantee you almost everyone will enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. Brilliant
you'll never
advice.
know.
Yeah. And I think what you said earlier, there'll be all kinds of people there, all ages, all levels, all shapes, all sizes, all different levels of experience. And I don't think anybody would be out of place. Yeah. I think you just got to go for it and find out what you're capable of.
I know it's easier said than done, though. And I do get that. Like, we're just sitting here going, do it. Because one of our best friends will not sign up. There is nothing we can do to make her sign up for a race because when she was younger, she came last in a race. And that's that. She's like, I can't have that happen to me again. And we're like, A, it wouldn't matter if it did. And B, it won't. But we can't. So it's easy us sitting here saying do it. But, you know, if you can switch the emotion off and if you can force yourself to just enter it, then I think very few people would regret that decision. Yeah.
And start small, you know, start with a park run or something that's organized, but that doesn't feel too, big. And
yeah, the park runs are genius. It's such a genius idea. I love those. I did my first ever one in the summer holidays.
Oh, really?
When I went to visit James. Yeah, it was really cool. And it's so friendly. Yeah. And nobody cares and nobody's keeping an eye on stuff and nobody's judging you. It's just really, really good fun. Yeah. It's a very, very good idea, actually. Start with a park run. But not if you live in France because they don't exist over here.
Or Thailand.
Or Thailand, yeah.
Oh, really? Oh.
No, too much. I would imagine too much bureaucracy here. Red tape.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of red tape about.
I think just do it is a good place to leave
just do it. Yes, absolutely.
But we have got to now the most important part of the podcast, which is where we ask all of our guests to add a song to the to get out in it playlist on Spotify. So we'd like both of you, if possible, to choose a song that you train to, race to, or just enjoy in general to add to our Spotify playlist. Go.
Whoa. Whoa.
I'm just going to throw in Don't Stop Me Now.
Yeah, I mean, that's your number one. Isn't
nice.
It? Nice choice.
So I'd say if the song that stands out to me that absolutely gets me the most pumped is now I've got to think of the title, but it's the song that was used in the London 2012 Olympics. It was the Muse song, and they did this absolutely killer kind of bit that they made an intro to, and hang on, I'm going to look up while I'm talking to you, but it is Survival. It's called Survival. It's Muse Survival. It is the lyrics, the way that the song builds, all of that is like, I will cry if I listen to it. So that's the song that gets me pumped.
Nice. Well, we haven't so far we haven't had any Muse on the playlist and we haven't had any Queen on the playlist.
We haven't,
Two nice additions.
I was thinking that's probably already on there.
I've been listening to quite a lot of Queen this week because I found myself up late on Saturday night and watched the Highlander all on my own. So I've been listening to the It's a Kind of Magic album all week. So it's that works for me. That does.
Love a bit of Queen. We're proper 80s kids. Well, born late 70s, but grew up in the 80s. So.
There you
Queen
go.
Is where it's
at.
So if anybody wants to find you on the internet, where are they looking?
Anywhere that is this messy happy, really, like website, and everything's the same name. So Facebook, Instagram, website, YouTube, we are just this messy happy everywhere, basically.
And just out of interest, before you go, what is the etymology of that name?
Well, okay, very long story cut very short is we spent 10 years trying to have children. Lots of things like IVF. I mean, we even went through the adoption process. We were going to adopt from Ethiopia, and we were halfway through the process, and Ethiopia shut its borders, and we were like, and said no more adoptions. And we were like, okay, probably not meant to be. We got a lot of kind of wanting to help people, a lot of love to give, all of that kind of thing. And we were like, right, how do we do this? Hence the YouTube channel and all that. But we needed the name. And it just, what stood out to us is that life is messy. It is messy for everyone. Everyone's got problems. But there is also, you can find happy if you want to in life. You know, it's a choice. It's not something that some people get to have and some people don't. Yeah. So this messy happy was really our message, that life is going to be messy, but it is also going to be happy, and we choose that.
I love that. Oh, you guys.
I went quite deep.
I know. I got
deep.
ridiculously deep very quickly.
No, I love that. Yeah. I think that rings true for a lot of people.
Mm.
You know, life is messy, but you can make it happy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love it. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Really appreciated the chat. Thanks for coming and talking to us.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll see you in YouTube. Can't wait for the next video.
Yeah.
Good luck with your race this weekend and
Thank
the big
you very
one
much.
in October.
I'll let you know how I go.
Yeah, give us 3 rings.
The debrief.
The emphasis was correct, I feel.
Okay.
So what did you think of that? I mean, we kind of got an idea of what you thought of that with this, with the very enthusiastic intro that you gave. But what did you think? Well, post chat, when we can actually, you're not trying to sort of mystify it to get people to listen. What did you think of that hike in the chat?
It was brilliant. It was everything I wanted and then more. It was, well, first of all, it was just super weird, seeing them both on my computer screen, but not as a video. Actually having them talk back to me, it was kind of surreal. This whole week, Thursday and Friday and Saturday, it's just been a mad, surreal trip for me. It's been super cool. But yes, I think it was really helpful for me to have a conversation with them before my event on Friday. It was perfect timing, and I really enjoyed listening to their reasons for doing events and understanding that, because like nobody is saying if you're into running or into sports or anything like that, you don't have to do events. You know, it's not an obligation if you're into an outside activity. Of course it's not. And I don't think that's what we were saying either. But what was really useful was to hear people like Mary and Ben talk about their reasons for doing events, which is to have something to hang their training on, which is why I do it, and to see how far they can push themselves, which I needed to hear as well before my night race on Friday, because that was obviously me pushing myself outside of a comfort zone. So yeah, I just found it really, really helpful to kind of have other people say in their own words things that I'd kind of been feeling anyway about doing events. So kind of having those ideas
Validated.
Yes, good word, Bale.
There
Cyber
you
high
go.
five.
Yes. It was very relaxed as well, wasn't it? You know, and that's what I really like about some of these hiking and chats that we have, because it's not a case of question answer. You know, it's a case of 4 people sitting around and putting in their opinions on various things, and I really value that. I can relate to the reasons Ben runs.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate, you know, the things he was saying about what keeps him going and why it keeps him going. I can almost hear myself talking. And I can also relate to when he says his body is basically held together with sticky tape and he's constantly fighting injuries. You know, I hear a lot of me in that because that's kind of where I'm at. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And if I'm honest, I never fail to be impressed by what Mary is able to achieve with a smile on her face,
absolutely
just knocking PBs down here, there, and everywhere. And it's remarkable and inspiring.
Yes, it really is. And I think that's one of the brilliant things about the videos that they produce is not just the fact that they're relatable human beings who have day jobs and still do these things outside of, holding down full-time jobs, but the fact that they put themselves through these quite difficult challenges sometimes, especially some of the the longer races that they do in Thailand, because I can't imagine what it must be like to run a half marathon at like 2 o'clock in the morning. It blows my mind. But the fact that they do all these things and then talk about it very openly and frankly and honestly and with such joy, I think that's the thing, actually. It's joy.
The good
you
and the
can
bad
tell.
as well,
Yeah, but even when they're going through something tough, like when Mary was talking about that trail race that she'd done, that 25k UTMB race on the biggest mountain in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really scary for her because it started at night and it was trail, first time she'd done trail. And even though it was really tough all the way through, she still finished with a massive smile on her face, because even though it's tough at the time, when you finished, you get that joy of having overcome something.
Indeed. It's kind of like what I was saying to you at some point, and that is that there's a difference between putting yourself through something to simply prove you can do it, but not enjoying it. And putting yourself through something to prove you can do it, but also realizing that you enjoyed it as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what I got from that story. It was like she'd gone through it. She wasn't sure about it. It was the unknown. But when she came out the other side, not only had she put herself out of her comfort zone, but she realized she quite liked it there.
Yeah.
And
because
I love that.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing. I mean, I can imagine there are people who wonder or say things like, well, if you're so scared of the dark, or if you're so scared of this, why are you doing that race, or why are you doing that event? And it's because, I mean, it's basically trail running, and I love trail running. And the same for Mary. She loves running, and trail running is just another form of that. So it's still doing something that we are absolutely devoted to and passionate about. It's just in a slightly different way. And it's that is kind of pushing you. That's the challenge. And I think that's why it's why we do those things, why we do those things that we kind of go, oh, I'm scared. But
yeah, and I think once you've taken that first step, this comes down to entering that first event. If you're out there thinking like, oh, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to enter a 10K or a 5K. It's exactly that. What I said about her trying the trail run, putting herself out of her comfort zone, but finishing with a massive smile on her face because it was so hard and she loved it. For the majority of people, when you enter that first race, it will be a totally different experience from the catastrophized version of it that you have in your head. You'll get there, you'll soak up the atmosphere, you'll feel the buzz, you'll meet people, you'll have a great time, you'll do the race. However you fare, you will feel amazing when you cross that finish line, because there will be an endorphin rush and a sense of achievement. And that's that first step towards going, well, if I can do that, what can I do next?
Exactly.
And what can I do next? And what can I do next? And that's what leads people to doing, eventually, years down the line, you know what? I've done all the races in the day. I think I want to do one at night, or I want to go to South Africa and do a race, or I want to go to Vietnam and do a race, or I want to go and try and do that crazy race in America that I've heard of. All these things that it starts to tumbleweed. You never know where that first event, that first decision is going to lead, because it could lead anywhere and everywhere. And that, I think, is the point.
Yeah. Because like, you're not doing an event in something like I would never randomly sign up to do a triathlon, because like I can't swim for shit and I can cycle, but oof, do you know what I mean?
You have done a triathlon though, haven't you?
Well, relay. I didn't do all the sports. I ran. I did the run. Because like I wouldn't sign up and do an event for something that I couldn't do. Like John's Mad Hatter Sports thing, the swim run. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't sign up for that, because that would be terrifying, because there is
it's very unlikely I'm going to enter a horse dancing competition.
Exactly. So it's not like we're signing up for things that we can't do and we're scared because it's something that we can't do and there is a real danger of death. The events that we sign up for are based on, for us, it's running because that's what we love. So, if people are into swim run or triathlon or cycling or whatever, yeah, and you sign up for an event in the activity that you're passionate about, yes, there'll be nerves, and it'll be a little bit scary because you don't know what it's going to be like, and what the atmosphere will be like, and whether you can, finish or whatever. That's the challenge.
But all of the positives will outweigh and erase any of those worries eventually.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So
I was buzzing last night when I finished. It was
I know.
so cool.
I know.
It was so cool.
And I could feel it, and I was basking in it. I loved it.
So yeah, can't wait for the next one next year.
So should we go and have a coffee?
Totally.
All right, it's your round.
The weekly roast. Is that it? It is. So I found a local coffee to the Mont d'Or, which
No
is pretty
fucking way.
cool. Absolutely. It's a very, very cool. So there is a roastery in Limone, which is one of the villages in the Mont d'Or.
Is there?
Yeah, and they've also got a cafe in Saint-Cyr, which is the village next to me. And this cafe slash roastery is called Lion d'Or, which is quite funny because it's Lion is spelled like lion, the animal, the big cat. But Lyon, hang on a minute, the town of Lyon and the animal lion in French, Lion, it's the same sound. So it's a little French play on words there. Anyway, Lion d'Or, and it's a artisanal roastery. So they do like little batches of beans to roast and stuff. And it's all stuff that you love. It's all fair trade coffee roasted, coffee beans and stuff. So they make sure that they get quality beans from places that are equitable.
Mm-hmm.
And they roast in all different flavors. So they've got they do some honey roast type stuff and all sorts of stuff. It's crazy. But their coffee is exceptionally good. And I picked the Peru sugar, vanilla, and chocolate flavor.
Well, that sounds damn nice, doesn't it?
Right?
Yeah. You make sure you save me some of that.
Yes. So it's pretty good coffee. I'm quite digging it. And the people there are super friendly. And they only started this project in 2021.
Oh, there you
So
go.
they're very, very new. So they deserve all the support from all of the local people in the Mont d'Or. But I was super chuffed to have found an artisanal roastery in my back door.
There you go. We'll include the website link in the show notes, plus any social media links they may or may not have.
They are also on Insta.
Oh, well, there you go. Golden. Now, let's take a moment to be honest, shall we?
Yes.
Let's be honest. I'm going to prescribe your let's be honest to you this week.
Okay.
All right? Because last week I attempted to, and you took the wind out of me by saying...
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
by
so-
the way, I've signed up for Random Race.
which is cool. It was cool news. I like that. I enjoyed that a lot. But this week, I think we need to highlight that you haven't done any strength work all summer.
Oh, I know.
So I think that's got to be your honest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've dropped the ball a little bit when it comes to the strength work. And
Yeah,
what's been happening
massively.
to you because of that?
Dropped the ball and it rolled all the way down the hill, and I've had to go back down to the bottom to pick it up again, which is a little bit frustrating. Because I did notice over the last week or so that my knees have been a little bit stiff. Only when I'm not running. As soon as I start running, like everything in my body sings and it's brilliant. But as soon as I've stopped, my knees have been a little bit creaky, which is obviously because I haven't been doing my deadlifts. And so we did a strength session today, and I've lost quite a lot of strength.
Well, you haven't lost it. It'll take a second or two to bring yourself back up to the level you were at.
Yeah.
I noted in the session that a lot of where you were at originally was back at the sixes, so it means you'd only just stepped up. So you're not far behind. But that knee pain you get in that range, the thing about strength is it puts load through your body, but also puts load through your body under tension, and also allows you to it forces a bit of stretch and a bit of movement and a bit of mobility under load. So bring that back into your training once a week alongside yoga, alongside the sports in the park sessions, and you'll soon start to notice the improvement.
Well, I think that's the thing with the summer holidays, all of those other things, yoga and sports in the park and all of those other strength and conditioning things that I normally do during the week, they all stop. So it's really, really easy to let that ball go and fly away or roll down the hill.
Yeah, exactly that. And also summertime, you're busy, trying to enjoy the summer, trying to go out, trying to do things.
Doing a 10K a day challenge.
Doing a 10, exactly that. And that would have had its own benefits. So don't get me wrong, it's not a huge negative. I just think that now that we're moving past the summer, it's time to pick up the strength ball again, especially as you're aiming for an ultra soon.
Yes, definitely. What about you? What's your let's be honest?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good, to be honest. Everything's moving. I feel like everything's moving in the right direction. I did a hill session yesterday, which would be the Friday before this pod comes out, and I felt strong and I felt powerful. I was running up. I'm still got some discomfort, but discomfort at the moment is not equaling pain. The acute pain has gone, the dull ache pain has gone, and now I've just got a bit of discomfort in my hip. I've got mobility's coming back, the ability to stand up without putting one weight down through the other hip is there now. And I also, Daisy gave me some treatment the other day. Fucking hell, Daisy. I went in to see her for my update, and she gave me some treatment on my hamstrings and glutes. And I don't think I've ever called anyone as a motherfucker as many times as I did her in that session. It was uncontrollable swearing.
But, good work, Daisy.
You took it well. I got a bit of a kicking, but that has helped loosen everything up, because I think after the hip had started to heal, a lot of the muscles around it, the glutes, had held on to some of that tension and needed a bit of releasing and a bit of work. But yeah, it's all coming together. Obviously, I'm not going to do the ultra in October now.
Yeah.
Because I think I can be more useful not racing it. But I'm still going to train as if I am, and I am going to do a volcano race next June in the Massif Central.
Is it June? Yeah, it is June. Yes, it's the Trail de Volcan, which is going to be absolutely fucking epic. Yeah.
So that is the new plan.
That's the 75K one, I think.
75K along a volcanic ridge. And I'm so fucking up for it. It's unreal.
I think it takes in 3 peaks around the Massif Central. So and it's going to be quite extraordinary.
And that reins me in a little bit, because I've got the tendency to be like, right, I'm better. Race. And I really need to put in some solid strength work, some solid, very rigid foundation of training. Just bring myself back up to being able to pop out for a run whenever I want. And at the moment I haven't got that. So, onwards and upwards. On we go. But we best put some music on and forget about it.
We best put some music on and forget about it. But can I just say one thing?
Go on.
Every time we do our Let's Be Honest, it reminds me of a really, really bad dad joke.
Which one?
I can't remember. I can remember the punchline, but
Great podcasting, this. Great podcasting.
I can't remember the fucking lead up. It's something like what's the home address of a policeman, or where is the I think here it is. This is it. What's the address of the police station?
Let's be Avenue. Let's be Avenue.
999 Let's Be Avenue.
There you go.
And it's all I can think about every time you say, let's be honest. Jokes are rubbish. Turn it up.
That'll probably do, won't it? Who's going first this week?
I'll go first this week
Okay.
because I got a really surprising tune,
Uh-oh.
which I think people are going to be surprised by, but also dig. This week on the Spotify playlist, I am going to add the it's a really weird track, but it's Mars, the Bringer of War from Holst's The Planets suite.
Yes. Fuck yeah. Unexpected, but yes.
That's such a good tune, right?
Yeah, it is.
It is such a good tune.
I had that album on vinyl when I was about 9, and I played it over and over again. And me and my friend Alan, we tried to write lyrics to the music.
Did you?
Yeah. They were brilliant, obviously. The 9-year-old minds of 2 young boys came up with some astounding lyrics. But yeah,
they did.
Great track. Great track.
It's a very, very cool one to run to as well, the Mars. More so than all of the others on that album. But yeah, Mars, the Bringer of War from Holst.
Game on. Now, I am going to put on a track that I stumbled across on Spotify because it is a band that's one of my favorites. They already have a track on the playlist, I think, but they've just released this as a new single. Came out on the 1st of September, and it's called Simple Things by the Band of Heathens. You would fucking hate it.
Oh my God, is it just people playing like slightly out of tune guitars with voices that sound like they've smoked too many fags and drunk too much whiskey?
No, it's one man and a piano.
Oh, why would I hate it?
It's just a bit soppy.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah,
but it's right up my street, you know.
Fair enough.
Tied to the emotions, I am.
Yeah.
So they'll be added. So there's 4 songs going on this week because we had
4 great songs.
Yeah.
Very, very different but awesome songs, apart from the Band of Heathen ones, which sounds a bit rubbish. But there we go.
I think that's about it from us, isn't it?
I think it is. Oh my God, it's been a great week. This has been the best week ever.
So if you want to find out more, head to www.getoutinit.events. There's loads of info on there, and you can sign up for the newsletter, download the personal development friend, and book a free consultation with us to discuss your health and fitness needs, your desires, your ambitions, and a roadmap to get you there. Plus, do us a solid and please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, but Apple Podcasts preferably, because I think that's the one that really tweaks the algorithm. If I could say algorithm, it would help. And we'd appreciate it.
We would. We'd love you forever. We'd give you big fat kisses. Just like that.
Yeah. And that's probably it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cheerio.
Catch you later. Bye.
Thanks for hitting the trails with us this week. We'll meet you back here next Monday for more news, more views, more nature.
All the links for our socials are in the show notes. Find and follow us on Facebook, Insta, YouTube and Twitter. You can subscribe to our newsletter from our website for all the latest updates and camp plans. You get a fun free gift when you sign up.
Leave a review on your podcast app. It's really easy and really helps us out.
And if you've got any friends who could do with getting out in it, then bring them along to next week's outdoor adventure. We'd love to have you all with us.
Catch you next week. Cheerio.